Mash Max was the turnout of my lifestyle. Smoking green, blowing white clouds to fill the blue skies. Conversating with the gods by my wildflower to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Gods by my wildflower to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Gods by my wildflower to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Gods by my wildflower to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Walk through the sands of times like Gara. On the other side of that gad is karma. You wet Prada, the devil like inside your box now. While the angels fly over my headstone.
We are back with another episode of the God's Hour podcast with your boy Big Serbs, back in the motherfucking place to be, La America Superior, Palace 81. And real quick, you like that I got on my homie shit, bruh. But you know what? It's time to get down to business. So, over the weekend, yes. Wait, before we go into the numero 61, Invincible. I watched Invincible. I finished watching Invincible, and I feel like the signal's way too low. Gotta bring it up. Gotta bring it up. So I finished watching Invincible. Great show. I was talking a little bit about it. It's basically about this kid who finds out he's a superhero. His dad's a superhero, and he inherits his powers and fucking, he fights villains, obviously, aliens, and, he got a girlfriend and shit, and it was a really dope show, man. I finished it. It's one of the best, probably the best Amazon show. The Boys was a little gay, a little too homo for, whatever. But I think the Invincible was probably the best Amazon show. Awesome. Like, really, I really love the show. It just seems like really realistic, like the shit he would go through, like from having to keep his whole superhero thing a secret to juggling like his responsibilities as like a superhero with his day-to-day life, being in college, and then also too, like, he's new at it, so he's not like Superman where he just punches fools and he wins. Like, no, this fool, Invincible, that's his name, like the kid, his name is Invincible, or his name's Mark Grayson, but his superhero name is Invincible. He gets his ass whooped like every episode. There's like very few moments where he like kicks ass, but for the most part he's just getting his ass handed to him, bro. And I just thought it was a really cool dichotomy for once. His dad is like Superman where he'll just fuck everything up, like no one could stand a chance against him. But Invincible is just really dope, man. I think, I'll give it an 8.5. Realistic cartoon. I mean, probably one of the best shows I've ever seen, ever. Not even like, trying to separate the whole live action versus animation. Like, it's just a really dope show overall. It's just really well written and it's really tight. The Boys is kind of like, there will be like plot holes and you'll be wondering why did this happen? And then later on, it'll explain it where it's like, you could have just told me what it was that really like caused, you know what I mean? Like, you could have just filled in the blanks as you went along, but you chose like to, do it at a later time, which I don't really like that. I really like when, a show is really well written and it's kind of just like it goes. You get what I mean? There's no like wondering, oh, am I ever gonna find out what really happened with this or what happened with that? It's kind of just, I don't know. I just like a really well written show. So yeah, Invincible is a really dope show. Over the weekend, I always have to think, bro. I always have to think what the fuck I did over the weekend. From what I remember, man, I just chilled. There's like really nothing like special that I did as I could recall. I just have like short-term memory loss or something like that. It's cool. We don't really have to talk about what I did over the weekend because right now I'm just drawing a blank. I don't know. So I'm at work, and so we have like designated parking spots, but there's not that many of them. Like there's probably like, I don't know, close to 300 employees at my job, and like there's only probably 2 dozen parking spots. And if there's not enough parking, then you have to go across the street. You got to jaywalk basically to get to work, which I think is just trash, you know. And so the senior manager's parking spot is open, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll just take her spot. And after work, I go into my car. I find a note on my car, and it says this. yo, I'm gonna cut that off. Yo, this spot is designated for senior management only. Well, there's only 2 of you, first of all. And second of all, I just think this bullshit, bro. I just think it's really lame that they have us going to like across the street, a park where we could get hit by cars, we could get a fucking citation, and like they don't really care about it. And so as I'm pulling off I'm going home and shit. I get a missed call from my manager, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And so he texts me. He's like, call me when you can. And I call him back, and I'm like, yo, what's up? And he's like, hey, how's it going? He's like, did you park in the senior manager's parking spot? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, why? And I'm like, cause there's no parking. And he's like, you can't park there. And immediately with the threats, like, you can't park there. He's like, you'll get written up and fucking your car towed the next time you fucking do that and shit. And I don't respond well to like threats. I really don't, because it's like, I'm not a fucking like, that's not how I work. Like, you're going to get a lot further with me if you just politely ask me, you know what I mean? You're going to get a lot further than like threats. Cause once you like try to threaten me or shit like that, it's just really not going to really go well. You dig what I'm saying? I don't work on that kind of field to where of like fear, you know what I mean? Like there's no fear of me. Like, there's nothing fear-induced that I'm gonna do just because I'm scared. Like, that's just not... Like, if I really feel scared or something like that, it's just, like, it turns into something else. But you could get a lot further with me if you just kind of, like, be polite about things, like, that are trivial, like a fucking parking spot, bro. Like, it's just, like... I don't know. That's just what was lame about America, bro. We fucking put, like, names on stupid shits like parking spots. And... it's fucking lame. You know what I mean? It's just like, who the fuck are you, bro? Like, I get that you're the most highest position, quote unquote, but like, what if people come here that are like the directors, or there's always a bigger fish, you know what I mean? So where the fuck do they park? Do they just end up parking on fucking the customers' parking spots? Do they end up in the red zone, like the red lane, the fire lane? Like, at a point, when does it just become like it's just a parking spot, bruh? You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna have my car towed because someone else is supposed to be there. Like, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? And if they do end up doing that, I mean, I'm gonna, the Saints are gonna get called, and it's gonna be a whole different situation, because I just feel like the world don't fucking run on negativity. The world don't run on fear. You know what I mean? You over here trying to be like fucking, what's his name, Scarecrow or something from Batman. Like, you're just trying to like threaten people to get your way or something like that, which I feel like it just never works. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I just feel like people are dumb as fuck for believing in dumb shit like that. You know what I mean? So fuck them. They could go fuck themselves. This is why I just can't wait until something takes off. Like, I've always had a plan in motion: the food reviews, the podcast, the game, the Pokemon Go shit, the music. Like, I'm starting all these fires, so like as soon as one goes up, everything else goes up with it. You know what I mean? And I have everything like backed up, ready to go for when, you know, the ball gets rolling for me, which I feel like isn't really gonna happen. At least not for a little while. But I mean, it's cool with me. You know, the slow and steady wins the race for me, dog. I'm not in no hurry to do any one thing. You know what I mean? I'm gonna just keep it rolling, bruh. Okay, so the Scooby-Doo shit. I grew up on Scooby-Doo. I love Scooby-Doo. I love Scooby snacks, the cheeses, or like they had like the cheddar snacks or whatever the fuck it is, right? I love Scooby-Doo. I grew up on Scooby-Doo. I, you know, used to sing, you know, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? So I was always really a big fan of Scooby-Doo, but it turns out Velma is a lesbian, and this is one of the things that kind of like boggles my mind is when we like try to represent different sexualities and people and like fucking things of that nature. Like, it's a cartoon show, bruh. Like, you really, and you know, the basis I would say for like the demographic of Scooby-Doo is probably 5 to 10-year-olds at the latest. You know what I mean? It's really a little kid show. And, you know, kids shouldn't know about like sexuality like that. Like, oh, he's like, as it is, you don't even understand race. You don't understand color, peoples, none of that shit. So I just feel like, you know, they make Velma a lesbian, and it's just like, why do cartoons like show things like that? I just feel like it's super unnecessary. It's cool, you know what I mean? I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's just kind of like the kids shouldn't really be knowing things of that nature. I just feel like, you know, we should just stick to like Tom and Jerry type stuff. When it comes to cartoons, it's just a fucking cat. It's just a mouse. It's not that deep. If you're aware of animals, I'm pretty sure all kids know what a cat and a fucking mouse is. So as long as they hit each other over the head with bats and fucking ping pong paddles and shit like that, I really don't think that'll be too much of a big deal. But when you fuck around with things like, you know, gays, blacks, and like fucking, you know, what are they, Tongans and shit like that, then you're kind of crossing into like territory that's not even their demographic. Kids shouldn't even worry about that. Kids should worry about, you know, how much fun they're gonna have, what friends they're gonna hang out with, you know what I mean, and not worry about all the other extra shit that grown-ups, you know what I mean, are should be aware of, you know what I mean. So So Kanye is bugging, bro. He put on like this White Lives Matter hoodie or whatever the fuck it was, and I just feel like I've had enough of Kanye. This is probably the last time I talk about Kanye West, because I just feel like he really only pushes things to like his benefit, like with like his shoes or with anything else, like his political agendas. Like, if it doesn't serve him, he doesn't really stand for nothing but like himself. And I just think that like, he's really selfish. And the whole White Lives Matter thing, I've seen people defend it, I've seen people go against it, but the thing I kind of want to get across here on the podcast is just like, it's just Kanye West, bro. He's just like, it's just all for profit. It's all for him to garnish attention and to fulfill his agenda and to be cool with white people or something. Like, I would never wear a fucking White Lives Matter shirt. I just feel like that's a dumb fucking concept, because when Black Lives Matter came out, it came out because black people were being fucking brutalized by the police and all this other shit, Trayvon. And then, you know, people try to shit on it and say all lives matter, and it's just like, you can't win for losing, bro. Like, you could just never stand for nothing, because right away people want to shit on it, because that's America. Nobody gives a fuck about, you know, where you come from, your history, none of that. Americans just want to say shit just to say shit, not even to stand for nothing, just to go against the grain, because that's what that's what's like popular to do, to go against something that people stand for. And I just feel like that's really fucking silly, bro. You know what I mean? It's just, at one point, do we just stop and just be like, just cut it out, bro? Like, Kanye's bugging. Well, fuck White Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was started by a white dude. I understand that. I get that. You know, it's kind of a charade in and of itself. But like, really, like, what does it stand for? Okay, black people are oppressed. I could get behind that. White Lives Matter. Why? You know what I mean? But why, bro? Like, it's just like, it really makes you question things like that. Like, why does it really fucking matter? What does any of that shit even matter? Why is Kanye doing it? Does he just want to make more fucking sales on his music or his shoes? I don't know. But get that shit the fuck out of here. It just kind of reminds me of like why Mexicans say mande. Like, mande comes from the word mandar, which is to serve. Like the slaves would say that, you know what I mean? And I never say that. I never say mande because that's a fucking like, it like subconsciously it puts you like in a fucking slave mentality, which is like, I'm never gonna be a slave to anything, to a person, to anything, right? You know what I mean? So this is just like the little shit that people don't understand or pick up because it's like so embedded in our culture to be fucking like dumb and just go with shit that just doesn't even make any sense and not stand for anything. As soon as you stand for something, people want to fucking raise their hand. Oh, fucking, then it's just like fucking like, you know what I mean? If you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. So that's just really my point with the whole White Lives Matter shit. And I see Chick-fil-A trending on Twitter again. People are shitting on Chick-fil-A. And it's no secret they're backed by the church. They're closed on Sundays. That's like a tax write-off or something like that. And I think it's lame that like people don't go to Chick-fil-A just because they're like backed by Christians who don't support gays. It's like, okay, but you fucking buy Cheetos that are like fucking, you know, basically like modern day sweatshops, or you support big corporations like Apple, where they fucking pay pennies to children to build iPhones so you could buy it for $1,000, or else it'd be like 2 Gs or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? So people you know what I mean? They'll go against something, but they'll stand for something, but they won't stand against everything else. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna stand, like, don't be picking and choosing, bro. Like, if you believe this is wrong, you gotta be like that. Like, you can't just pick and choose. You can't rock Balenciagas because you like Balenciagas, but they do the same shit as, or believe the same shit as. And I'm not saying that they do. I'm just saying you can't support a company fucking that does the same thing as another company, but like you just choose to like not fuck with this one, but like you support one brand versus the other just because you want to just like turn a blind eye. But it's just really, the reality is, bruh, is people, they want to, and they're like Tony Hinchcliffe said, in their public persona, look like a good person if they fucking stand for like certain ideals or values. Whereas me, the way I look at it is like, I like support the gay community, no problems with the gay community, but I love Chick-fil-A sandwiches. Like, oh well, they're fucking bomb. I'm gonna do a food review about the Chick-fil-A sandwich soon, dropping soon on the fucking Herbs and Serves page. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, so what, man? If you want to talk about it, be about it. Like, if you really don't like it, protest. Go in front of Chick-fil-A and have two chicks kissing or whatever the fuck, and really get down to the nitty gritty. Because the whole, you know, talking about it on Twitter ain't really gonna do shit. You know, Martin Luther King held fucking marches and protests in the '60s, bro. What are y'all doing? Just talking about it like bitches on the internet. It really doesn't go nowhere. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just feel like people fucking just nitpick. And it just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary came out, and I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. I might watch it. I might not. I don't know. But I've heard a lot of things. I've heard it's overrated, or it's overhyped. I heard it's disgusting. I heard it gave Danny Brown nightmares. That shit was hilarious. You know, Danny Brown, the rapper, he got his own show. I heard he was getting nightmares or whatever from it. But I feel like after it came out, you know, because I go on my walks every day, people started looking at me weird. and it kind of freaked me out, bruh. Like, I would be walking, and people who would be walking towards me, they go across the street, they look at me weird, and fucking like, what the fuck, bro? Like, what do you think I am, like a serial killer or something? You think I'm gonna kidnap you and fucking cut your legs off and put them in the fridge or whatever the fuck? Like, it's just kind of weird. I just thought that was interesting. It makes me want to like watch it and really see what it's about, but I just thought it was funny that, maybe that's not, maybe it isn't because of the documentary. Maybe people are just fucking weird, but it happens all the time, bro. Like, people, they won't say hi. They'll pass by me, or they'll avoid being around. Like if they see me coming towards them, they'll like they'll make a beeline somewhere else. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, what was that? It makes me wonder, like, what the fuck was that? Like, it really, like, it's like befuddling, because I'm not moving militant. I'm not over here trying to be fucking, the Phantom of the Old Town or whatever. It's just kind of, I'm trying to go for a walk, bro. And you're being weird about it. I'll say hi to people, and it's cool if they say hi to me, but like, there's this chick who always walks her dog, and like, she looks at me like, and like, it's just like, what the fuck, bro? Like, I don't even know you. You can't even look at me like that. Fucking like fucking like, what? What did I do, bro? Like, are you guys some sort of prejudice against like Mexican dudes because you're a lesbian? I don't know what the fuck it is, but she got a cool dog. She got a fucking little German Shepherd or something like that. So shout out to her wherever you are. 50 Cent. This 50 Cent clip came out of his Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter about his son Marquise. Really dope excerpt where 50 Cent was talking about how, he did the best that he could to kind of like make his baby mama and his son financially independent without him, but he feels like he like spoiled them, so that's where they feel like entitled and resentful because 50 should just like provide for them like his whole life and shit, which is kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like, his son was on the internet talking about, $6,500 or whatever his child support wasn't enough a month. And it's like, bro, that's fucking like 72 G's a year. What child needs $72,000 a year? It's a scam. His mom is definitely in on the money, bro. Like, is without a question, bro, some of the most bullshit ever. Like, when I was when like 18 and below, bro, I would get like one shoes a year, some nice a few changes of clothes a year. You know what I mean? And fucking, I was like pretty some video games. You know what I mean? Like 3 or 4 video games a year, bro. That was cool for me, bro. You know what I mean? I didn't have no Balenciagas, no the newest Nike Air Forces, the fucking new jewelry. Like, I've had this chain since I was a kid, bro. You know what I mean? Nowhere near living off fucking $6,500 a month was I doing that shit. You know what I mean? So I just think it's crazy, bro. Just thinking about the whole, his son is like fucking out of his mind. And I feel like that's because of his mom putting that shit in his head. Like, oh, we could be living in 10,000. You know what I mean? And I heard that 50 was actually giving them more money. But then when his girl or whatever went to court, that the judge actually lowered the child support, which is fucking hilarious, bro. It's kind of like, taken for granted. You know what I mean? You just kind of fail to realize like what you're blessed with. And I just feel, you know what I mean? It's really interesting to me, like how you could fucking get $6,500 or whatever a month and that not be enough. Like, how was that not enough? Like, I can't even imagine. Like, bro, I work for way less than that now. I work for less than half of that a month. I live off, you know what I mean? I live pretty good. I live with my parents and shit like that. I'm taking care of them good like that. I don't need any of that extra shit because growing up, man, I feel like all children, you know what I mean? They want you want the world when you're a kid. You want the fucking Batmobile, the real life Batmobile. You want to fucking, you want to meet the real Spider-Man and all this fake shit that's not reality. But then when you grow up, you realize like, oh shit, I really did have like cool shit, but you don't realize that because if you're always thinking, oh, it's not enough, I should have had this, I should have had that, then you're going to be all fucked up because you can't even differentiate or appreciate what you have. And it just like spirals you into this like disillusion of like what's really going on in your life. So I feel like just appreciate what you have, everybody. Like, you know what I mean? I understand that we work hard for our families and shit like that, but like at some point it's like, bro, you don't need to be living off me like this crazy, bro. You don't need to be eating off like everything I got. You know what I mean? You could be good with this little bit, and if you're not good with the little that you're given or the amount you're given, it's kind of time to reevaluate your own shit, bro. And I think, the child support ended for his son. So Marquise, he's really going to find out now because he's going to really need a fucking job. He's really going to need to figure out how the fuck he's going to make his own money. And at that point, that's when he's going to really appreciate, oh shit, my dad did do, the fucking most. We did go to Philippe Chow's or whatever the fuck and, got the newest Air Forces or whatever. And, that's just the reality. It's just kind of what it is, I'm really like appreciative of everything I have, and I was there for a little bit, like, oh, how come I don't have this? How come I don't have that? But it's like reality, bruh. Whenever, and traveling will do this too. When you travel and you go around, you see the poor people, like in fucking Mexico or like in China that I seen, the fucking just fiends everywhere, and they barely got like one pair of clothes and like sandals with holes in them and shit like that. Then you really start to put it together like, oh, I'm fucking got it good, bro. There's people that live in fucking tarps with banana leaves for blankets and shit like that. Then it really starts to, click with you like, oh, I should probably be grateful. But I mean, if you don't have those experiences, then hey, like, you're not going to see it. So I guess ignorance isn't bliss. I don't know. So not only is it 1 year that I've started this podcast, round of applause, but it's 1 year since I've been sober, and I think it's super fucking awesome, bro. Like, I never thought in a year I would have 61 episodes, bro. I didn't really think I would be doing video. I always thought it was going to be audio only, like the Bill Burr podcast. Like, he started his podcast like 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, and it's audio only. I always wanted to incorporate the video to get y'all, engaged with me. I always wanted to have a visual. And yes, I know it's in my little room and things like that with the fucking, not that much crazy shit going on. But I do plan to have like, a better production setup and, something like the Joe Budden Network or something like that. But 1 year, man, the God's Hour podcast, bro. We were shaking and baking, got the guests, NC, Spark the Law, One Voice. I want Mufasa, I want Chava on here, the rest of the homies, Noah James. There's a lot of things I still want to do with the podcast. This is only the beginning. But for the first year, got the visual, got better equipment. And we're rocking and rolling, bro. Rocking and rolling, locking and loading. And as far as like being sober, I just feel like it's just 1 year. It just made me think like how much time, how much money I just blew on like fucking like drugs and alcohol. And that shit just kind of like, bro, I could have like bought more. I could have bought way better equipment. I could have invested my money, crypto, whatever, merch or whatever the fuck I wanted to do. But instead, I just got high and fucking fucked off a lot of money that I could have used to better, whatever I wanted to have going on. But, as you grow, you realize the mistakes, becoming more mature as a man, you know what I mean? Just reflecting on my sobriety is just kind of like, now is where the real work begins. Now I'm totally focused without no distractions and I'm going in full force. You know what I mean? Just wanted to keep it light, short and sweet. You know what I mean? Didn't want nothing long and drawn out. You know what I mean? But this is the God's Hour.
Yes, Max was the turnout of my lifestyle. Smoking green, blowing white clouds to fill the blue skies. Conversating with the gods by my wildflower to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Gods by my wildflower to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Gods by my wildflower to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Gods by my wildflower to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Walk through the sands of times like Gara. On the other side of that gad is karma. You wet Prada, the devil like inside your box now. While the angels fly over my headstone.